Gold inside a piece of old Oak Island wood, real gold, and Emma Culligan demonstrated it with a machine so sensitive it detected traces no one else had for years. This artifact remained unknown until Emma's test revealed a hidden story no one saw coming. Tune in, because her next scan has just detected another object, stumbling across what could prove to be a chamber that could bring their search for treasure on this strange island to an end. To the discovery of traces of gold and silver that could lead them to that coveted treasure, here's how the Lagina brothers made their biggest discovery yet. Maybe it could lead them to the lost treasure of Oak Island. After years of following their childhood dream of discovering the mysterious treasure of Oak Island, it seems as though the Lagina brothers are finally on the cusp of coming across that long-sought-after treasure. This was due to the fact that they came across this strange hole that was within close proximity of an old shipyard garden on what proved to be the last days of their search for treasure on Oak Island before the winter forced them to return home. Some of us may turn our heads away from such a place, but to the Curse of Oak Island crew, this was a place that looked as though treasure had been stashed away here a long time ago. Well, here's the deal, Rick. You could be standing a couple of feet above the tunnel we've been looking for at least 2 years, right there. We are? Okay, well let's get busy. How do you work this thing? As much as they were hoping for treasure, the team was really excited about coming across the spot because they felt that there was a chance they could come across a secret chamber or vault. If they could find such a place, there was every chance that the rumors of treasure on this island were true. So you can imagine how excited the team was when they got this whiff of draft that came up from this spot. Who knows what they could find down there? Add the exciting events that were taking place across the island as Dr. Ian Spooner and Dr. Fred Michel were working through the discovery of strange bits of metal that were discovered in the soil in that area. Could this be an indication of treasure, or something even rarer or more valuable than gold? They may not have the answers, but they sure were excited about what was to come. They just had to make sure they came across their discoveries before the winter brought their operations to an end for the year. With that in mind, the Curse of Oak Island team got to work on their search for the treasure of this mysterious island. As they got to work, you could feel it was much more than finding the valuable treasure. It was also about creating a legacy of being the ones who succeeded where many others failed for more than 200 years now. As such, as they kept digging, the anticipation in the air was thick, because this could possibly be the day they actually discovered the mysterious treasure of Oak Island. This is a non-ferrous target. This could be gold, it could be silver, it could be copper, either way, it's a great sounding signal. For many years, they've had to battle the varying conditions of the island, only to leave with a ton of disappointment when the winter months finally arrived. Maybe this time it could be different. As the work went on, you could see the excitement was truly in the air. You can only imagine how excited they were when the first samples were discovered. As the scientists analyzed the first samples, things went up a notch when the team also came across a dark piece of metal, covered in grime and looking as though it wasn't meant to be there. It certainly stood out to the team because it told them that something even more valuable must be nearby. Excited, the team couldn't help but feel that they were close to something, maybe the chamber that we mentioned earlier, or maybe even the treasure that is rumored to be hidden on this island. With such a discovery, the team hurriedly got back to work. The deeper they dug, the higher the chances of discovering the treasure they had spent more than a decade searching for. This is nothing we would add, so it's probably from the tunnel construction. Yeah, even more curious now. Yeah, it really is. This eager digging led to the discovery of traces of silver and gold in the soil. Such a discovery added more flame to the fire that burned in the Curse of Oak Island crew's hearts, so much so that they almost erupted when they hit something that could prove to be even bigger and more pivotal to the search for gold on this island. Although they had no idea what this large discovery was, they knew that they had to dig whatever this was out. On that note, the team got to work with their digger, hoping desperately that they were on the verge of their big discovery. I don't know if that's rock or wood, but it's immovable right there. The air was thick with excitement mixed with nervousness, as they knew that this could very well be their last dig of the season. Winter was coming, and although they were not of House Stark or the Night's Watch, they knew this was significant because this meant that their search for treasure was coming to an end for the year, and this was just as devastating as the frightful attack of the White Walkers. In view of the prospect of finding gold, the team decided that the best way to approach their dig was to get to a depth of 100 to 150 feet before digging sideways. That way, there was every chance that they could either come across that coveted treasure, or at least a tunnel that could lead to this treasure. They came up with this plan because they had carried out some promising water sample tests, which told them that they were within reach of some gold or silver down there. There is every reason to believe down in those holes that there is something close by that contains a very large amount of silver. As such, there was much hope for success on the site, and with any luck, the excavation of the region will lead to the discovery of that much-desired treasure of Oak Island. Some may think that this is easy to do, but we must remember that year after year, the Lahaina brothers and the Curse of Oak Island crew have had to stomach constant disappointment. They, just like many others who have taken on the challenge of discovering the treasure of Oak Island, have ultimately failed to come away with it. As the winter drew closer, every heap of sand that failed to produce the prized treasure of Oak Island must have felt like a blow in the stomach from the Incredible Hulk. Speaking of sand, these blows kept on coming hot and heavy because the sand they kept digging up was constantly mixed with clay. As the lack of traces of metal turned up with each clumpy extraction of clay, you could feel the morale of the team plummeting by the moment. Fortunately, the team knew that they had to remain optimistic. This isn't their first rodeo, and as such, they knew that disappointment was the name of the game when it came to the search for the treasure of Oak Island. As time went on, they managed to recover their morale by deducing that the constant discovery of sand and clay could be an indication that there may have been an ancient system in the area that was designed to guard something valuable that may be down there. If that was the case, maybe there was something that was down there, and that alone was exciting enough for the team to continue pushing on with their efforts. We are seeing some quantities of gold. It shows gold. Yeah, it's there. Gold is the outlier. Gold is, yes. With that in mind, the team also had to make plans to bring their operations to an end. They could not ignore the winter anymore, and as such, they decided to take inventory of their equipment while also taking note of all the progress they had made during their year out there. Sure, their efforts may not have paid off as they would have liked that year, but again, disappointment was the name of the game. For every year they spent out there failing in their efforts to find their treasure, they all knew that it only took one moment to be successful when it came to their search for the treasure that is believed to be buried somewhere on Oak Island. Add the thrill of the hunt, and you'd find that there is very little that could stop the Lahaina brothers and their crew from returning to their search for treasure year after year. This season, you could say that they took some steps forward when it came to their search for the treasure, especially as they came across a man-made tunnel in the garden shaft area that was leading to the ocean, as well as some ancient artifacts such as wooden beams with ancient carvings and an old pickaxe. But as this tunnel constantly filled up with water and these artifacts ultimately weren't the treasure, they were still encouraged by these discoveries because they felt that it was drawing them closer to the mysterious treasure of Oak Island. For now, it may feel like they have to endure endless disappointments, but that may just be what they will have to endure until they fulfill their dreams of finding the desired treasure that is hidden on this island. Until then, we know that the Lahaina brothers will not stop looking for the treasure that is believed to be buried on Oak Island. From stumbling across what could prove to be a chamber that could bring their search for treasure on this strange island to an end, to the discovery of traces of gold and silver that could lead them to that coveted treasure, here's how the Lahaina brothers made their biggest discovery yet. Maybe it could lead them to the lost treasure of Oak Island.